creating a locker similar to these that will contain a hidden object. In my case I'm going to put a power core in, but you can put anything in. You could put spawning monster, armor, ammo pickup, anything you like. What we need is a few physical objects, one of them being the power core. We'll also need a trigger. Place the trigger there. We're also going to need the locker itself. Which is the open locker. I think I'll place that there. And we're going to need the door for the locker, which is there. And lastly, we're going to need a map setting. So, which is that one. Okay, right, the first thing what we'll do is, it might seem we're building this back to front, but what we will do is we will build the power core up first, and we'll just check the settings. I don't think there's anything you need to worry about with this. I think everything's fine. Human use, yeah, everything's fine with that. So we use the map settings and say on map started we want to hide this power core, and the reason for that is because when the power core if the power core isn't hidden, when it's placed inside this locker, the glow effect will spill out and players will see it upon entering the room. So that takes care of that. That's hidden from view. However, the trigger, which we're going to eventually place in front of this locker, when it's activated it will make that power core appear. And so what we do is we click on the trigger and say on trigger used, show the power core, and that's it for the power core. We can see everything connected there a bit better. Okay, we can go ahead and place that power core now inside the locker. Probably the worst part of this tutorial is the placement of these items. One of the things you want to do is you want to place that power core fairly near the front of the locker, even if it looks like it's outside of it, because if you don't, the player won't be close enough to use it. So I've got mine just sticking out slightly of the locker. Okay, next what we'll do is we'll tell the door that when the trigger's used it must be deleted. So we click on when trigger used, delete door, and that's fine. We don't want to use that door again, so we can have that set to delete. An interesting thing about these doors is when they're spawned, when you first place them, the objects, you can see that that writing is back to front. So before we go ahead and put that over the opening, what we need to do is we need to fully rotate it so that writing is now visible and readable. Otherwise it's an oddity, players will spot that straight away, or potentially spot it straight away and see that it doesn't quite look right. So we can go ahead and place that door now, and what I'll do, I'll just put it roughly as close as I can get it for now, just for the purposes of the tutorial. and then what I'll do is I'll line it up properly later so that it's completely hidden and disguised as an ordinary locker. Okay, next is the trigger. There's a few settings we need to do on here. One of them is the size. We'll make it a bit fatter. We'll make it not so wide, and we'll make it a bit taller, a bit more the sort of proportions of the actual locker itself. The next thing is we don't want to be able to see it. Push the wrong button there. We don't want to be able to see it when the map starts, even though it's set to transparent. If you don't set that, you'll see the box as we're seeing it there in the map, so that won't look very good. We want human players to be able to use the trigger, and that will mean that when they walk into that boxed area, a message will come up saying to press a certain button, whatever you've got it set to. In my case it would be a triangle, to activate whatever the trigger's activating, in our case to open the door or remove the door from the map. So that needs to be set. And lastly, we don't want the trigger to remain in place once it's been used, so we have to tell it to remove on use, and that's all the settings you need for that trigger. So that's set, and all we need to do now is pick up this box and place it in front of the door, and that's probably good enough. That should be it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and load up the screen, load up the game and give it a whirl. May have forgotten something. There's always something when you come to test these maps out. We'll probably notice the glow immediately from the locker of the power core on the load up screen, but when the actual game's loaded that'll disappear, and that's a common thing, so it's best not to have those sort of objects in spawning areas. Okay, apart from it looking a bit spazzy, it's working. We can walk up to it and the trigger's telling us to click on the triangle. Clicked on the triangle, the door disappears and the power core's sitting there ready for us to take it, which we've taken it. So thanks for watching.